Jim, back. Got some stuff to do. I've been busting my ass trying to get this thing done, and you can see we've got an engine. All right, we're down here on the driver's side. We're gonna throw the axle in. This is the half shaft for the driver's side. We're gonna pop this in real quick. It should just pop in. Or it could be. Oh, there it went. Yeah, thing's heavy. Still dripping on me. Look at this. After I got it cleaned up, check it out. Still got all the factory reference paint on it. After I cleaned it up, I couldn't see none of that paint originally. None of it. This thing actually turned out really nice, cleaned up. So one good thing about a layer of mud and dirt and oil is I guess it kind of protected the paint. So actually turned out pretty good and looks okay. You know, one thing I did notice about the all-wheel drive is it has this plate right here. It's a freaking spacer. So you can actually lower your all-wheel drive Volvo S40 by taking these 3 bolts out and taking this spacer off, and it'll index this just slightly, the top, and then you just stick it back up in there and you'll have your car will be like what, an inch shorter. So the back probably has something very similar. So yeah, man, that looks great. Looks great. Look at this. This is awesome. I'm stoked at how good everything turned out. Or it's turning out. Right. So I went and got the radiator and I tore it down, and I was just gonna kind of clean it up, just kind of wipe it down a little bit, and the more I got into it, the worse it got. So this is kind of what it looks like now. This is all the trash that came out of the radiator assembly. Now keep in mind, the outside of this thing was clean. Once I started taking it apart, I started finding stuff. So check this out. There is literally this much space. That's the distance between the condenser and the radiator. There's like nothing, and they're almost touching each other, okay? So all the dirt and grime and everything that gets stuck between the radiator and condenser stays there. There's no way to wash it out, it's stuck, okay? This is the radiator and condenser. That was between the radiator and condenser. Look at that. There's no way to clean that out. Absolutely no way. This is the condenser here. Volvo Co. It's original. This one says Bear on it. I don't know. You tell me if that's original or not. I'm not for sure. But I'm pretty sure the condenser is original. But you can see how nasty they are. I'm going to clean them up. Same deal with the fan assembly right there. It's pretty nasty. That's the intercooler right there, and you know, this is the little shroud that holds all that together. Here's the little rubber boots. This will be the bottom side, so that's how that goes. Here's the cooler, the transmission cooler. I did go ahead and clean it up. I took it off, just had one little bolt on it, so I took it off, and you know, I've got it all cleaned up now. So it's Bear as well, BHR. So I think that's OEM, I guess, I'm assuming. All right, guys, I got this radiator assembly we're gonna have to get back together because I took it apart and got it outside and sprayed some degreaser on it, got it all cleaned up. So now just a matter of getting it all back together, and then we'll get it put back in the car, hopefully. That's the plan. So the first thing I'm gonna do is try to remember how I took it apart so I can get the freaking thing back together. Come on, brain, you can work. Here's what the drain valve looks like. Actually has this crazy looking little washer on there. That's insane looking. Insane. It's got this, that's metal. That little washer right there is metal. That's crazy. 2 O-rings. So when you're taking this apart, be careful, don't break it. But definitely gonna lubricate it to put it back in there a little bit. So this is the finished radiator assembly, basically, other than this one little bracket deal that I gotta do right here. So I gotta dig that out, I gotta clean that up, and then we'll be back, and we'll try to get this radiator in. these little adjusters right here, in and out adjustment from like front to back adjustment of the radiator support down here. And the way this works is, so this is one of the bolts. So if you keep the bolt loose, you can twist this. So if you twist it, see if I can get it started here. So when you twist it, so you're just going to twist part of it, and as you twist clockwise, you can see it adjusts out. See that? And you go pretty far out too, till it freaking falls out. It looks like the ABS sensors right here is completely different. This is the older one right here. So this one right here is from a parts car from an 07. It was right here like this. So it has 2 bolts in it like that. The newer one after the front end revision is this blue one, and it has like a little spring clip on the back with one nutsert, and you can see that it goes like this. Okay, so if you can see the difference there. The holes from the older model are here, but these 2 holes are not on this one. So I'm gonna have to make a template from this using these 2 holes as reference and make those same 2 holes here. And then I'll have to find a nut or something that I could put on the back of the screw with some Loctite and screw it back down on here. Okay, so first things first, you really got to have a tram gauge. Okay, if you don't know what a tram gauge is something that you can place from one point on a reference point somewhere on the vehicle to another reference point. So I've made my own tram gauge. So I've watched a video on how to make one earlier this year because I needed to make sure that the cop car was straight, because if you watch some of those videos, you'll see that it was actually crashed in the front end on the driver's side. And I wanted to make sure that the frame was straight on that car, which it is. So I was not able to find that out unless I made one of these. I definitely wasn't gonna buy one at this point because number one, they're real expensive, and number two, I wasn't sure how in-depth I would get with collision repair. So I wasn't gonna spend, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on a freaking tram gauge that I might use once a year, or may not even use it once a year. It may be something I use once every couple of years. So I made my own. So you can see this is Hillman aluminum angle 1/16 by 3/4 3 foot, and I've got 2 of those. I've got 2 pieces of all thread and 2 Irwin 1-inch clamps. Okay, that's all it is. That's all it is. So I can expand this out to almost 6 foot, almost. It's precise enough for me. So we're gonna do this. I've got to look at some reference points and write them down, and then we'll get this thing measured out and get the radiator support tightened down. So basically we got the front end here without the fenders. This is the first page. You got A1, 2, and 3. This little symbol means from the edge. This symbol means from the center of the hole. We'll just work through these right here. We'll go with A1, A2, and A3. So we'll measure A1 to A2, which is going to be 345 millimeters. So I'm going to set my trim so that these 2 points from here to here are going to be 345 millimeters. And then I'll clamp it back down, and then we'll take it over and check it and see what it looks like. Today's the day. I'm gonna see if this thing runs real quick. I'll run it just for a minute. So we're gonna put a battery in it real quick. Let's get a battery in it and see if it runs. I'm nervous as hell. You should be too. Fire extinguisher, check. All right, here goes nothing. Lots of smoke. What's the smoke from? Oh, the belt doing something funky. What the heck?